In this video, I'll hand you an autonomous AI agent that reads and replies to every email in your inbox, so your leads stay warm, receiving a reply in minutes so you don't miss any opportunity. This Inbox Manager AI agent turns casual, sounds interesting into confirmed calendar meetings automatically. It answers any questions and objections using your approved knowledge base, like frequently asked questions, so it stays on brand. And if it doesn't know the factual answer to a question or objection, it escalates to the human manager to prevent the hallucination. Now let's dive in. So in today's video, we're going to look at an AI inbox management use case. I'm going to show you an AI agent build that manages your inbox. This is a generic use case, and you can build an AI agent to reply to literally any inbound emails that your inbox is receiving. But in this specific case, we're going to look at a cold outbound use case in which we have an AI BDR, and you might have seen this in my other videos. We have a parent agent. This is a BDR AI agent that delegates to a sales strategist who is responsible for creating in-depth research about a prospect, that then it passes to an outreach manager AI agent who is responsible for generating a hyper-personalized email sequence, which is a cold email sequence. And Max, the manager agent, is going to send out these emails in the right cadence. And when a cold prospect replies, it delegates to the message reply specialist, who then is able to answer any questions or objections with the goal to convert this cold prospect into a discovery call with our sales team. So we're going to look at how we can prevent hallucination, and we're going to look at how we can get the AI agent to respond to questions and objections based on an existing knowledge base. So that's the main mechanism, how we can control the agent's behavior and prevent hallucination. If you look into our AI agent building platform, which is Relevance AI, it's one of the best out there. We can zoom into these building blocks individually. So here you can see the manager agent that has access to 3 separate tools. We're not going to go too deep into these, but this agent has the ability to send out emails, to schedule tasks, and also to cancel an existing sequence. This agent can delegate to the sub-agents. So this is outreach manager, but we also have the sales strategist. And these agents have access to their own tools that give them the specific capabilities to conduct in-depth research, to scrape LinkedIn, to retrieve relevant social proof, do Google search and scrape websites, analyze them visually, read PDFs, and do so much more. The outreach manager is going to be responsible for creating a hyper-personalized email sequence, so it has only one specific tool. And then when it sends this sequence back to the manager agent, it's going to send out the emails with the right sequence. But what happens when a cold prospect replies? Then the manager agent delegates to the message reply specialist. This agent will have the ability to retrieve the email thread content for additional context, and then to categorize that email exchange and the cold prospect's reply, whether it's positive or negative, or is it an unsubscribe, or is it just simply not interested. It's also going to inform this agent and the manager agent what to do next. So it informs about the next best actions based on the cold prospect's reply. This agent also has the ability to extract the questions and objections from the text, from the latest reply of the prospect. And based on these questions and objections that we have extracted, it's going to retrieve relevant data from a knowledge base that looks like this. So this is a basic FAQ. It's a database containing frequently asked questions with their answer pairs. So here you can see some of the questions that our cold prospects usually ask, and we have pre-canned, pre-written answers. And we want the agent to tap into this knowledge every single time it responds to a prospect question or a prospect objection, because we want to prevent the agent from hallucination. So it shouldn't make things up. It should only base its answers to these question and answer pairs. And if some questions or answers are missing, the agent is going to escalate to us. And then we, the human in the loop, will have to come in here and add more question and answer pairs to fill out the knowledge base. And so here, the message reply specialist also has the ability to escalate to the manager, the human in the loop. We have a dedicated tool that we call decide if escalation is needed. It's going to reason for whether a reasonably acceptable answer could be given to these questions that we have extracted based on the internal knowledge base. And finally, it's going to compose a message reply. There might be some additional complication within an inbox management use case in which someone also requests a time from us right away. So we are reaching out to cold prospects because we want to book a meeting with them. So if they simply reply yes, or if they require more information, but they clearly show interest, we want to convert them towards a meeting. And so the message reply specialist has a sub-agent that we call the appointment setter Sally that has the ability to negotiate the best times that the prospect has requested and that is available for our sales team. It's going to delegate to its own sub-agent, which is the calendar availability checker. And this agent has the ability to check our sales team members' calendars and propose availability back to the prospect. If you haven't seen my other video, go check it out. I have a dedicated video only for the appointment setting use case. In this video, we're only going to focus on the message reply specialist, and I have brought you some specific examples here. So first, let's look at a calendar negotiation use case in which we have triggered this agent from HubSpot to reach out to this person. This is a dummy prospect, so this is a dummy email, and eventually I have sent out the email to my own email address. We have triggered this agent to reach out to a prospect called Nick Feeney, who works at Loom. And the parent agent has first delegated to the sales strategist who has conducted an in-depth research about this person. It has executed 19 different tools and steps. So eventually it was able to create an in-depth research about the prospect and the key events and the timelines, scraping all the relevant information about the prospect and their company. And so eventually Max, the parent agent, was able to pass all this research to the outreach manager. Here you'll see that we have messaged this sub-agent with the in-depth research and some other details here, like the instructions and the contact first and last name. And this agent has generated a hyper-personalized cold email sequence that the parent agent eventually has sent out. And here you can see the first email touch that we have sent out to Nick. So we asked this call to action: would you be interested in a chat if you could generate more sales accepted meetings and pipeline using AI agents and auto personalization that is connected to the relevant insight that we have gathered about this person from January 29. After the agent sent out this message, the prospect came back to us saying this: hey Ben, could be interesting. Is it done for you or done with you? He's referring to the lead generation services here. So are we doing everything for them, or do they also have to be part of the processes? How much do you deliver versus how much do we need to build? Referring to the AI agent builds that we are pitching to them. And also was wondering, can you do outreach in German? We're targeting the German market. So these are highly specific questions. If you ask these questions from a large language model after some back and forth and after providing the large language model with some instructions, chances are that it's going to make things up. It's going to follow your instructions that you have in your agent build. So we have given a role and objectives and a task and a lot of other instructions to this agent. And because of these instructions, it really wants to do the job. It really wants to convert this person towards a meeting. And it wants to be able to reply to this person. And so it is going to make things up if it doesn't know the answer. So here in the instructions, we specifically told this agent to escalate to the manager if any of their sub-agents return an escalation. And under the sub-agents, such as the message reply specialist here, we have also given the instruction to the message reply specialist agent itself to escalate if it wasn't able to provide the right answers to the question. So we will look into this right now. So let's go back to the original task and let's just scroll up here. So this is the last reply from the prospect, after which the manager agent has canceled all the pending tasks, canceled the sequence, and delegate it to the message reply specialist. Now, let's look into this agent and let's open it up on a new tab. I prefer the agent's view in a separate tab because here we can see all the tags and the labels that the agent gave to the different tasks. in this case, the message reply specialist was triggered by the manager agent, as you can see. We know the prospect's name, email, the company name, the LinkedIn URL, and the sales team member's email from which the original outbound emails went out, the subject line, and the latest reply from the prospect. As you will notice, the parent agent was able to pick this up, the latest reply from the previous thread here, and it was able to delegate downstream to the sub-agent with the right message. And it also gave the whole in-depth research that the sales strategist agent delivered to us. So here, between these XML tags, we have the actual in-depth research. Because many times the cold prospects come back to us and they have additional questions, and it's best to answer their questions in a way that is highly personal to them. So that's why I like to pass this important context down to the sub-agent as well. So let's scroll down and let's look at the steps that this agent executed. We have this retrieve email thread content tool that is responsible for outputting the whole email thread until this point based on the email thread ID that the agent was able to pick up from the email exchange. We also know the prospect's name, the prospect's email. We know our sales team's email address. So this is the from address. We know our company name and the agent's name. Now let me open this tool on a new tab and let's analyze this tool run step by step so we understand how it works and how it is able to generate this email thread content for us. Now let's run this tool. Now that the tool run finished, we see all the inputs here. And there's only one tool step, which is called retrieve Gmail thread. So this tool step is coming from the Relevance AI library. And the only thing we need to do is we need to map the OAuth account, so our Gmail account, which is the account from which we have sent out the email flow, as well as the thread ID. And it's going to call this URL. If you replicate this, then you'll receive the email thread in this format. And you can use a code snippet that you can just take from here that is going to format this email thread this way. And so once we have the full email thread, we take the email thread and we pass this into this triage and label email reply tool that's going to label the email exchange. In this case, it has labeled as information request because even though they showed interest, they also required more information before committing to a meeting. We also have a quick analysis here with regards to whether the prospect has requested any meeting. It also outputs the next best action, which is to go through the standard message responding process. We have defined this quote-unquote standard message responding process in the core instructions of the agent, and it refers to this process here. So when the agent knows that it has to go through the standard message responding process, it knows that it always has to extract questions and objections and then go through the knowledge retrieval and then decide if escalation is needed. Now, what happens when someone requests a time to meet? The message reply specialist has access to a sub-agent, which is the calendar negotiator agent. This is appointment setter Sally, and you can find it here under the message reply specialist. So when someone requests a time, the message reply specialist is also going to run appointment setter Sally. But in this case, there was no time requested. The triage and label email reply tool has also concluded that, so there was no meeting request, and therefore we didn't have to use that agent. The next step was to extract questions and objections. Again, we're passing the full email thread as the most important context here. And this tool will have to take the email thread, understand it, analyze it, and then take the latest reply from the prospect and then extract the questions and objections that might be present here. The agent concluded that there were these 3 objections and 3 questions, which are the same, right? So you could frame the question around the German market as uncertainty about the ability to deliver outreach in German. You could also frame the question around the German language, such as uncertainty about your ability to deliver outreach in German for the German market, or a concern about how we can deliver done-for-you services. And then we pass these extracted questions and objections into this retrieve internal knowledge base tool, whose job is going to be to provide answers to these questions and objections. Now, let's look at how we achieve that and how we're able to reference this table here and pull relevant knowledge from it. Let's run this tool so we can analyze the tool step in detail. Okay, the tool run finished, so let's look into it. First of all, we see all these inputs here. So we provide the whole company description from our company into this tool, as well as the email thread, the objections that we have extracted in the previous step, and the questions as well, right? And we run this tool that is connected to my Google Sheets and Google Drive. And I have a spreadsheet that includes both the social proof and a frequently asked questions table. And so I'm referencing the FAQ in this case. And in the response body, it returns all the columns and the cells in these separate objects. It looks a bit weird. So I like to process this with an additional step. So this step takes the input from this table and it outputs in a nice table view. So finally, we can pass this data into an LLM step that takes all the inputs that are part of this tool, the company description, the FAQ knowledge base that is transformed, so this one, and the questions and the objections. And it has to provide answers to all the questions and all the objections in this format here. So this is what it did. So for all questions, it provides the answer as well as a reasoning. If we output the reasoning from a very cheap model, such as Gemini 2.0 Flash, you can expect a better performance because the model has to spend more energy or tokens, essentially, on thinking through the response. And so it can adjust the final reply that it comes back with. And so putting the reasoning usually makes sense. It forces the model to think things through. After this tool generated all these responses with the reasoning, we pass these responses and reasoning into the next tool, which is going to decide if escalation is needed. So this tool is going to reason for whether all the questions and objections can be answered reasonably, or we need an escalation. Now let me open this tool in a new tab and let's zoom into the different steps. Let's run this tool so we can analyze the tool steps and their outputs. Okay, the tool run just finished. So let's look at the tool inputs. We're familiar with these inputs because the agent got these answers from the internal knowledge base. So these are coming from the previous tool step. And we also have the original objection and the questions that we have extracted from the latest reply of the prospect. In an LLM step, we're going to evaluate if any answer is missing to these questions and objections based on this knowledge base. It's going to go through all the questions and objections and the responses that we have given to them in a previous step with a step-by-step thorough reasoning. And this is how this looks like. It looks a bit cramped, but we can see the thought process of the LLM in these separate steps. So step 1, step 2, step 3. And then it also delivers a final decision. So it takes all the extracted questions and objections and it checks them one by one and reasons for whether it was possible to provide reasonable, relevant answers to those based on the knowledge base. In this case, it has concluded, yes, reasonably complete answers can be given. And in a second LLM with a very cheap model, we simply output this line from this reasoning output. So this is what we want the tool to come back with because we don't want to use the agent's context window with all this text, right? And so the final answer is this short sentence. And we can see this short sentence here in the output of this tool. So eventually we didn't have to escalate. So finally, the agent uses the compose message reply tool, whose goal is to synthesize everything that we have done so far. And if the agent hasn't escalated yet, then to compose a nice short message reply. Let's look into this tool as well quickly. Let's run this tool to see the results. Okay, now that the tool run finished, we can look at the inputs. So we provide the meeting booking link of the prospect owner, the name of the agent so it knows how to sign off, a description about our own company, the latest reply from the prospect, all the answers to the prospect questions and objections from the retrieve internal knowledge base tool. So these are all the questions and objections that we saw that came from previous steps. The same with the full email thread. We've provided this as very important contact to the LLM. So it can come up with an email reply that really resonates with the prospect and everything that we have discussed so far. And the same with the in-depth research. So we can tailor our response very specifically to the prospect's needs and wants. And finally, the agent also provides any meeting availability, which in this case is not relevant because the prospect didn't request any time to meet. And so this is the final composed reply. As you notice, it baked everything together. So it talks about that we handle everything end to end, and that after a 90-minute onboarding workshop where we define the ICP and messaging, we take care of everything. So this is the response to the "is it done for you" or "is it done with you" question. It also provides some additional insights focusing on the objection. You will just need to grant CRM access and join bi-weekly 30-minute review calls. So it's like saying, hey, it's really not a big commitment from your end. It's completely done for you. It also responds to the German question. Yes, absolutely. We do German outreach as well. We have native speakers, plus our AI engine handles localization. And then we also have a quick call to action here. Would you be open for a quick chat to explore how this could work for Loom's German market expansion? So it baked in some kind of personalization as well. And then finally, it says you can also select the time directly in our calendar. So it's really trying to convert this person towards a meeting. If we look into the prompt, we'll see that we give the LLM an objective and some guidelines. So we just chuck everything in here. You can stop the video and read all the guidelines. And we also provide a few scenarios for composing the reply and the next best actions that we expect the LLM to take. And then we share all the inputs and all the knowledge. And finally, we provide a few examples for writing the emails and then the next steps. And the goal is obviously to draft the response here. And so if we go back to the agent level, we will see that the message reply specialist not only reflects on what happened, so the prospect label as well as the next steps, and whether this prospect has requested any time to meet. In this case, it's not applicable. We didn't have to use appointment setter Sally from here. And it also proposes the email draft as a conclusion that it came to after running all these tools. And so if we move one level up to the manager agent, we will see that once this agent was run, the message reply specialist returned this response that we just looked at with the email draft. And the parent agent, the BDR manager, eventually sent out this response email that, by the way, then converted the prospect, and then we started a calendar negotiation. You can watch my other videos where I analyze that calendar negotiation situation. Now, before we wrap up, I also wanted to show you some other quick wins. So for example, when someone is not interested, what happens? That's why we run the triaging tool. So when the prospect says something along the line of, well, thanks, then of course we cancel all the outstanding tasks that we currently have. You can't see this right now, but before running this tool, this agent had 3 or 4 tasks to follow up the prospect with personalized email sequence. And then we run the message reply specialist. It's going to be very basic. So even though it's going to run the exact same tools, obviously it's going to be different. So the email thread and then the label, which is going to be not interested. Because there were no questions or objections, it didn't output anything relevant. I hope this was helpful. Feel free to reach out if you need this template or if you have any questions. My doors are always open. I hope to see you in the next videos. Have a great day.